Well, in 2013, this house was flooded, and basically the basement was filled with about 5 feet of water, ruining everything in there and requiring that the whole basement be torn out to concrete walls and then rebuilt. So that was pretty devastating, and it's now rebuilt, but at the same time I did lose some things that I prefer not to lose. And it did take a lot of my time and energy throughout basically a whole year by the time we were recovered. And then on the bright side, I think our community came closer together as a result of 2013. I certainly know more neighbors now than I did then. So it's at this bus loop where the Crisis Cafe was set up in 2013. And this is the bench that commemorates the flood and specifically the Crisis Cafe, which was the neighborhood gathering point. So a couple of people set up a barbecue and basically cooked food for the neighborhood, and that turned into spontaneously a kind of a neighborhood center. A woman operated a job board. I don't know who she is or where she came from, but it wasn't planned, but she had a big whiteboard and she had a list of tasks that needed to be done and a list of volunteers who'd come from all over the city to help, and she was assigning the volunteers to the tasks. And if you needed anything, you just had to go over and speak to her, and she would put your task on the board, and then people would show up to work. And it was just a huge relief to not have to worry about what am I going to eat today in a house with no electricity. This is a brand new mural that these people have recently installed. Every time I walk by it, I smile. And, my focus is less on, lamenting about the losses. I try to focus on how do we make sure this doesn't happen again. We had flooding from a lot of different things in 2013. Obviously the river was high, and the river did come over the banks of the berm that we have down by the river. However, it wasn't over by a huge amount, and it wasn't over by a long period. It was a lot of water, and it certainly did a lot of damage to parts of the neighborhood, but some houses weren't affected at all by the berm overtopping. Other houses were affected by essentially rainfall backup. We have a very large drainage area that comes through Sunnyside. So Sunnyside is this area right here. This is Sunnyside. This is the area, all this area here drains down through Sunnyside. So here's our little area. Here's the area that we're draining from. It's an enormous area. An area vastly larger than Sunnyside itself up on top of the hill drains through Sunnyside, and when the river outfall gates are closed, which they have to be to prevent high river water from backing up into the community, the rainwater has nowhere to go, and this giant catchment area is just flooding into Sunnyside, and there were quite a number of houses that were affected by that. We had groundwater, but then we also had sanitary sewer backup. I'm not planning to move, I'm planning to stay, and that's because I believe that it is entirely possible for Sunnyside to be properly protected against flooding. I think we have seen actions on the part of the city and the province and the federal government taking steps that will protect us. I wish they were doing it quicker, but we're basically believing that our neighborhood is worth saving, and it is a urban walkable neighborhood, which is what the city keeps saying they want to have, and so we're confident that we will be protected.